In my younger and more vulnerable years, my father's given me some advice which I've been turning over in my head ever since. Whenever you feel like criticizing anyone, he told me, just remember that everyone in this world hasn't had the same advantages that you've had. He didn't say any more. But we've always been unusually communicative in a reserved way, and I understood that he meant a great deal more than that. Gatsby, the man who lends his name to this story, represented everything for which I have an unaffected scorn. But if personality is an unbroken series of successful gestures, then there was something gorgeous about him. Some heightened sensitivity to the promises of life. He had an extraordinary gift of hope, a romantic readiness such as I've never found in another person, and which it is not likely I shall ever find again.
Nick! Oh, Nick, darling, I'm paralyzed with happiness.
Hello, Daisy.
Nick Carraway, Miss Baker. Nick is my cousin.
Second cousin once removed.
He and Tom graduated Yale together. Did you play football as well?
No, Tom was a football hero. I did things like tennis and croquet.
You are.
Hello, Tom.
Care for a drink?
Not yet. It's a little early for me, thanks.
Who needs a refresher?
Nick, I've been telling Jordan all about you.
You find the place all right?
It's hard to miss.
Where are you staying?
Across the sound.
West Egg?
In a little cottage I found.
Really?
What a strange community. On either side of me, these huge estates that must go for 12, 15,000 in the summer.
Well, what are you paying?
80 a month.
Huh. Well, welcome to East Egg.
How long you staying?
Until I make my fortune.
Oh, well, you'll help him, won't you, Tom?
I stopped off in Chicago on my way out, and at least a half a dozen people send their love.
Do they miss me?
The whole town's desolate. All the cars have their left rear wheel painted black as a mourning wreath, and there's a persistent oil all night along the North Shore.
How gorgeous. Well, let's go back, Tom, tomorrow. You ought to see the baby.
I'd like to.
Oh, well, she's asleep. She's 2 years old. Haven't you ever seen her?
Never.
Oh, well, you ought to. She's the sweetest...
What are you doing these days, Nick?
Learning to be a bondman.
Who with?
Probity Trust.
Never heard of him.
Oh, well, you will.
Any money in bonds?
Everyone I know is doing it, making lots of money. Ever since the war, well, the Middle West feels kind of dull to me. That's why I've come east. Father's financed me for a year.
Where are you from?
St. Paul. Minnesota?
Aha. You'll be rich as Midas one day.
Well, I bought loads of books on banking and credit and investment security.
Oh, you'll help him, won't you, Tom? I'm stiff. I feel like I've been lying on that sofa for as long as I can remember. Well, don't look at me. I've been trying to get you to go to New York all afternoon.
This'll help.
It is prohibition.
So what?
Besides, I'm absolutely in training.
How you ever get anything done is beyond me.
I recognize you from somewhere.
You said you live across the Sound in West Egg. I know somebody there.
Well, I don't know a single person.
You must know Gatsby. Gatsby? What Gatsby? He's got that huge mansion that looks like an imitation of a French hotel.
The one with the tower.
Throws huge parties.
I live right next door. Our lawn's practically...
In 2 weeks, it'll be the longest day of the year. Do you always watch for the longest day of the year and then miss it? I always watch for the longest day of the year, then miss it. We ought to plan something. All right, what do we plan? What do people plan? Look, I heard it. And you did it, Tom. I know you didn't mean to, but you did do it. And that's what I get for marrying a brute of a man, a great big physical hulking specimen.
I hate that word. Hulking. Even in kidding.
Hulking. Hulking, hulking, hulking!
Have a drink, Nick.
All right.
I've got a nice place here.
enormous. The sunken
It
gardens
belongs to Domain, the oil man. I'll show you around.
Well, don't take him away yet.
Come on, I'll show you the ponies.
Please, Tom.
Are you planning to stay in the east?
I'd be a goddamn fool to go anywhere else.
This is a permanent move.
They hated France.
How long were you there?
About a year. Then we followed the polo circuit.
Drifting endlessly, parties and yachts and hulking. Men hitting wooden balls with mallets.
You make me feel uncivilized.
Civilization's going to pieces. I've gotten to be a terrible pessimist about things. Nick, have you read The Rise of the Colored Empires by this man Goddard?
Why no?
Well, it's a fine book and everyone ought to read it. See, the idea is, if we don't look out, the white race will be utterly submerged. It's all scientific stuff. It's been proved.
Tom's getting very profound. He reads deep books with long words in them. What was that word?
It is up to us, who are the dominant race, who must watch out, or these other races will have control of things.
We've got to beat them down.
You see, the idea is we're Nordics. I am, and you are, and you are, and we've gone to create everything that makes civilization. Oh, science and art and all that. Do you see? Excuse me.
I love to see you in my house, Nick. You remind me of a rose, an absolute rose, doesn't he, Jordan? An absolute rose. Excuse me. Tom, who's on the phone?
It's work.
Didn't work call yesterday?
They call every day. I figured you noticed.
What is it you're in training?
Call him back later.
This Mr. Gatsby you spoke of.
Quiet. I want to hear what happens.
Is something happening?
You mean you don't know? I thought everybody knew.
I don't.
Why? Tom's got some woman in New York.
Got some woman.
She might at least have the decency not to telephone him at home.
It couldn't be helped. I looked outdoors for a moment, and it's very romantic outdoors. And there's a bird singing on the lawn that I think must be a nightingale. Yes, a nightingale come over on the Cunard or Watt star line. It's singing away. It's romantic, isn't it, Tom?
Very romantic. Before you leave, I want to take you down to the stables. Excuse me.
We don't know each other very well, Nick, even if we are cousins. You didn't come to my wedding.
Well, I wasn't back from the war.
Oh, yes, that's right, I'd forgotten. The war took a lot of young men away. I've had a very bad time, Nick, and I've become pretty cynical about everything.
So, she talks and eats and everything.
Who?
Your daughter.
Oh, yes, Pammy. Listen, Nick, let me tell you what I said when she was born. Would you like to hear? It'll show you how I've gotten to feel about things. Well, Pammy was less than an hour old, and Tom was God knows where. I woke up out of the ether with an utterly abandoned feeling, and I asked the nurse right away if it was a boy or a girl. The nurse told me it was a girl, and I turned my head away and I wept. All right, I said. I'm glad it's a girl. And I hope she'll be a fool. That's the best thing a girl can be in this world. A beautiful little fool. You see, I think everything's terrible anyhow. Well, everyone does. The most advanced people. And I know. I've been everywhere and seen everything and done everything. Sophisticated. God, I am so sophisticated.
10 o'clock. Time for this good girl to go to bed.
Jordan's going to play at the tournament tomorrow over at Westchester.
Oh, you're Jordan Baker, the golfer.
Good night. Wake me at 8, won't you?
If you'll get up.
I will. Good night, Mr. Carraway. See you anon.
Of course you will. In fact, I think I'll arrange a marriage. Come over often, Nick, and I'll sort of Fling you two together, accidentally lock you up in the linen closet, push you out to sea in a boat and all that sort of thing.
Good night. I haven't heard a word.
I knew I'd seen her somewhere before. I see your picture in the paper all the time, golf championships at Palm Beach in Asheville. Wasn't there a story about her?
She's a nice girl. Dad let her run around the country this way.
Who oughtn't to?
Her family.
A family is one and about 1,000 years old. Besides, Nick's gonna look after her, aren't you, Nick?
Rich girls don't marry poor boys.
Oh, nonsense. Jordan's gonna be spending a lot of weekends here this summer. I think the home influence will be very good for her.
Is she from New York?
Oh, from Louisville. Our white girlhood passed there together. Our beautiful white...
Did you give Nick a little heart-to-heart chat while I was on the phone?
Did I? I can't seem to remember, but I think we talked about the Nordic race. Yes, I'm sure we did. It crept up on us, and the first thing you know...
Don't believe everything you hear, Nick.
I haven't heard a word. Well, good night, Tom. Daisy.
Good night, my sweet one. Good night, my dear sweet Nicky. Good night. Good night.
Yes. Gatsby turned out all right in the end. But it's what preyed on Gatsby, what foul dust floated in the wake of his dreams that's been haunting me. And haunts me still.
Come on. I want you to meet my girl. Hello, Wilson. How's business?
Can't complain. When are you going to sell me that car?
Next week. I have my man working on it now.
Works pretty slow, don't he?
No, he doesn't. And if you feel that way about it, maybe I'm better off selling it someplace else after all.
Oh, no, I didn't mean it like that, Mr. Buchanan. I was
Get
just
some chairs, why don't you? So somebody can sit down.
Oh, sure.
I try to teach them some manners.
Myrtle, this is Nick Carraway. We went to Yale together.
How do you do?
Hello.
I want to see you.
So,
Get on the next train.
well, what if I don't want to?
You want to.
What makes you so sure about that? Think you can come in here and order somebody around?
Just get on the next train.
Will you give me that dog you promised me?
I'll get you the whole brood.
You promise.
Woof, woof.
Well, in that case.
Be at the apartment in an hour.
Look, all I meant about that car
We've
was
got
that...
to be going. Just showing Nick here the neighborhood.
Yes, sir, Mr. Buchanan. I was just
said
thinking...
I'll see about the car.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, Mr. Buchanan.
Terrible place, isn't it?
Where are we?
Queens. Hard to imagine people choose to live like this.
Awful.
It does her good to get away.
Doesn't her husband object?
Wilson? He's so dumb he doesn't even know he's alive. He thinks she goes to New York every week to see her sister.
Most of these fellas that cheat you every time, all they think about is money. I had a woman in here last week to look at my feet, and when she gave me the bill, you'd have thought I had my appendicitis out.
I like your dress. I think it's adorable.
Oh, this crazy old thing. I throw it on sometimes, and I don't care what I look like.
But it looks wonderful on you. Doesn't she look wonderful in that dress?
Wonderful.
Do you like the apartment, Mr. Carraway?
Nice.
Tom bought it for me, didn't you, Tom?
I'm tired of dancing. Have a drink, Nick.
I really should get home and study.
There's plenty of time to make money. Come on, have a drink.
If Chester could only get you in that pose, Myrtle, I think he could make something of it. Couldn't you, Chester?
I'm in the artistic game.
Really?
You should see his work. Chester has photographed me 127 times. Haven't you, Chester?
129.
Come on, dance with me, Mr. Carraway.
love to change the light. I like to bring out the modeling of your features, that profile. And I try to get hold of all that black hair.
I wouldn't think of changing the light. I think it's perfect.
We need more to drink. Stop shaking your ass, Myrtle, and get more ice and mineral water before everyone goes to sleep.
I told that boy about the ice. These people, you have to keep after them all the time.
I've done some nice things out on Long Island. 2 of them are framed downstairs.
To what?
2 studies. One of them I call Montauk Point, the gulls, and the other I call Montauk Point, the sea.
Huh. Where the hell is she?
Do you live down on Long Island too?
I live at West Egg.
Really?
Would we know your place?
No, it's just a small summer rental.
We were down there at a party about a month ago.
At a man named Gatsby's.
Do you know him?
I live right next door.
Really? Well, they say he's a nephew or a cousin of Kaiser Wilhelm. Or is it von Hindenburg? I'm scared of him. I'd hate to have him get anything on me.
Somebody told me they thought he killed a man once.
I don't think it's so much that. It's more like he was a German spy during the war. Heard that from a man at the party, knew all about him, grew up with him in Germany.
No, that's not right, because he was in the American army during the war. You look at him sometimes when he thinks nobody's looking at him. I'll bet he killed a man.
They say he doesn't even live in that house, but lives on a boat that floats secretly up and down the Long Island shore. Chester! I think you do something with him!
Stop it, Tom. You'll make me spill everything.
Neither of them can stand the person they're married to.
Can't they?
Can't stand them. What I say is, why go on living with them if they can't stand them?
If I was them, I'd get a divorce and get married to each other right away.
Doesn't she like Wilson either?
You try being married to a stupid, ambitionless bastard who smells like grease.
You see?
As soon as they can, they're going out west.
It's really his wife that's keeping them apart. She's a Catholic and they don't believe in divorce.
Leave Daisy out of this.
Daisy's not Catholic.
She really ought to get away from her husband. They've been living over that garage for 11 years. And Tom's the first sweetie she ever had.
It was on the 2 little seats facing each other that are always the ones left on the train. I was going to New York to see my sister. He had on a dress suit, patent leather shoes, and I couldn't keep my eyes off him. But every time he looked at me, I had to pretend to be looking at the advertisements above his head.
What are you doing?
What?
Get over here.
Shut up! I'm telling a story. When we got into the station, his shirt front pressed against my arm. So I told him I'd have to call the police. But he knew I lied. When I followed him into a taxi, I couldn't hardly tell we weren't getting into a subway train. All I kept saying over and over was, "You can't live forever, you can't live forever."
That's enough, Myrtle.
Oh, the great man speaks.
That's enough booze for one afternoon.
Get your hands off me. Where's that dog you promised me? Miss McKee, I'm gonna give you this dress just as soon as I'm through with it. I gotta get another one. I gotta make a list of all the things I've gotta get. One of those cute little ashtrays where you touch a spring and a wreath of black silk. Both Mother's Grave, they'll last all winter.
I really should get going.
No, stay.
Yes, hey!
We live right downstairs. I could show you my portfolio.
I've only been drunk twice in my life, and the second time is this afternoon. I don't think Daisy would find it admirable.
Daisy. Daisy! Everybody talks about her like she's some damn saint.
Shut up, Myrtle.
Don't tell me to shut up. I'll say whatever I like.
I told you about using her name.
Daisy!
I mean it, Myrtle!
Myrtle, let it go.
I'll say whatever I like. Daisy! You bastard! You son of a bitch!
Oddly, I began to like New York. And all the while there was music coming from my neighbor's house. And his blue lawns, men and girls came and went like moths among the whisperings and the champagne and the stars. And then early one Saturday morning, a chauffeur crossed my lawn with a surprisingly formal note. The honors would be Gatsby's, it said, if I would attend his little party that night.
Your face is familiar. Weren't you in the 3rd Division during the war?
Why, yes. How did you... I was in the 9th Machine Gun Battalion.
I thought so. I was in the 7th Infantry until June 1918. Miss it?
The war? Yes. I think I enjoyed it so much I came back restless. Made going home pretty dull.
I know what you mean. I doubt most of the people here have any idea what it's like being at the trenches.
It's not something you forget.
No, it's not. Where are you from?
St. Paul. Minneapolis.
I know them well. Listen, I just bought one of those new hydroplanes and thought I'd try it out in the morning. Want to go with me, old sport? Just near the shore, along the Sound.
What time?
Any time that suits you best.
Yes, I'd like that very much. Oh, by the way, I'm Nick Carraway.
Mr. Carraway!
Miss Baker, hello.
I thought you might be here. I remembered you lived next door. Having fun?
Well, it's an unusual party for me. I've been here for hours and I haven't even seen the host. I live right over there, and this man Gatsby sent over his chauffeur this morning with an invitation.
I'm Gatsby.
What? Oh, I beg your pardon.
I thought you knew, old sport. I'm afraid I haven't been a very good host.
Sorry to interrupt, but there's a call from Detroit.
Tell him I'll call later.
That may not be such a good idea.
If you want anything, just ask for it, old sport. Excuse me, I'll rejoin both of you later. It's that a small town. There's no use to us. Detroit is...
I feel like an idiot. I kept imagining Gatsby's an extravagant and fat middle-aged. Who is he? Do you know?
He's just a man named Gatsby.
Where's he from, I mean, and what does he do?
I haven't the faintest idea.
But people don't just come out of nowhere and suddenly buy a palace on Long Island.
Well, Gatsby did.
But he must have some sort of past.
Now you're started on the subject.
It's just that everybody keeps talking about him.
Well, he told me once he was an Oxford man. However, I don't believe it.
Why not?
I don't know. I just don't think he went there.
I've heard the wildest rumors about him.
That he killed someone?
Yes.
That he was a German spy?
Yes.
That he runs an underground pipeline from Canada?
He does?
Anyhow, he gives large parties. And I like large parties. They're so intimate. At small parties, there isn't any privacy. Having a good time?
I'm having a good time with you.
Dance with me.
All right.
You know, Daisy's very taken with you. She hasn't stopped talking about flinging us together.
Then she'd be happy about tonight.
Are you in love with her?
Isn't everyone?
Yes. If I tell you a secret, do you promise to do something about it?
What do you mean?
Tom's woman in New York? She isn't the first. One night in Santa Barbara, California, right after he and Daisy got married, Tom ran into a wagon on the Ventura Road and ripped off the front wheel of his car. The girl who was with him got in the papers too because her arm was broken. She was one of the chambermaids at the Santa Barbara Hotel.
Why does Daisy put up with it? Why doesn't she just leave him?
Maybe you're the one meant to help her.
I beg your pardon, Miss Baker?
Yes?
Mr. Gatsby would like to speak to you.
With me.
That's what he said.
Think about what I just told you. Please come see me. Phone book, under the name of Mrs. Sigourney Howard, my aunt.
She's a very famous person.
I know.
And Mr. Gatsby, he's a fine fellow, isn't he? Handsome to look at, and a perfect gentleman.
Yes,
He's an Oxford man.
I've heard.
He went to Oxford College in England. You know Oxford College?
I've heard of it.
It's one of the most famous colleges in the world.
Have you known Mr. Gatsby for a long time?
Several years. I made the pleasure of his acquaintance just after the war. I knew I'd discovered a man of fine breeding after I talked with him an hour. I said to myself, there's the kind of man you'd like to take home and introduce to your mother and sister. I see you're looking at my cuff buttons.
Oh, they look like ivory.
Finest specimens of human molars.
Well, that's a very interesting idea.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to run off from you two young men before I outstay my welcome.
No need to hurry, Meyer.
You're very polite, but I belong to another generation. Enjoy, discuss your sports and your young ladies and your... As for me, I won't impose myself on you any longer.
I hope I didn't say anything to offend her. We were talking about her cuff buttons.
She's quite a character around New York. A denizen of Broadway.
Was she anyhow? An actress?
No.
A dentist?
Meyer Wolfsheim, no. She's a gambler. She's the woman who fixed the World Series back in 1919.
Fixed it? How'd she do that?
She saw the opportunity.
Why isn't she in jail?
Oh, they can't get her, old sport. She's a smart woman. Smart women are hard to get. Remember, we're going up on that hydroplane tomorrow. 9 o'clock.
I'm so sorry I didn't recognize you earlier.
Oh, don't mention it. Don't give it another thought, old sport. 9 o'clock.
I'll be there.
Well, good night.
Good night.
Night, old sport.
Daisy? Daisy! Daisy, where the hell are you? What are you doing down here?
Looking at the party lights?
You know how worried I get when you disappear like that.
Do you?
Of course I do. You know I do.
We ought to go sometime. Dance again?
You don't want to associate with those people. Come on, let's get inside.
I miss the parties.
I know you do, and we'll go again, I promise. But right now, Pammy needs you.
I'll be up in a minute.
I said Pammy needs you.
And I said in a minute.
Fine. Fine, do as you like.
You mean like you?
Look, I don't know what's gotten into you lately, but... forget it. Just come back before Pammy goes to bed.
It was so much nicer a long time ago, when we had each other and the space about the world was warm.
What a machine!
Fantastic!
Thrilling, old sport!
Thrilling!
You know, I thought we'd go to New York later and have lunch.
Anything, I'm all yours today.
Look here, old sport. What's your opinion of me?
What?
I said, what's your opinion of me?
We've only just met.
Well, be frank, old sport.
Well, honestly, I've heard all sorts of rumors.
I'm going to tell you something about my life. I don't want you to get a wrong idea of me from all these stories you hear. This is the God's honest truth. I'm the son of some wealthy people in the Middle West, all dead now. I was brought up in America, but educated at Oxford because all my ancestors have been educated there for many years. It's a family tradition.
What part of the Middle West?
San Francisco.
I see.
My family all died, and I came into a good deal of money. After that, I lived like a young Raja in all the capitals of Europe. Paris, Venice, Rome, collecting jewels, chiefly rubies, hunting big game, painting a little, things for myself only, in trying to forget something very sad that happened to me long ago. Well, then came the war, old sport. It was a great relief, and I tried very hard to die, but I seemed to bear an enchanted life. I accepted a commission as first lieutenant when it began. In the Argonne Forest. You were there.
At Saint Mihiel Salyon.
This was near Suyi. I took 2 machine gun detachments so far forward that there was a half-mile gap on either side of us where the infantry couldn't advance. We stayed there 2 days and 2 nights, 130 men and 16 Lewis guns, and when the infantry came up at last, they found the insignia of 3 German divisions among the piles of dead. I was promoted to be a major, and every Allied government gave me a decoration. Even Montenegro, little Montenegro, down on the Adriatic Sea. That's the one from Montenegro. See what it says.
Orderi di Danilo, Montenegro, Nicholas Rex.
Turn it over.
Major J. Gatsby, for valor extraordinary.
Here's another thing I always carry, a souvenir of Oxford days. It was taken at Trinity Quad. The man on the left is now the Earl of Doncaster.
Then it's all true.
Of course.
I didn't mean it like that. It's just...
It's all right, old sport.
Why are you telling me all this?
I'm going to make a big request of you today, so thought you ought to know something about me. I didn't want you to think I was just some nobody.
You planned all this.
I knew I could trust you. You see, I usually find myself among strangers because I drift here and there trying to forget the sad thing that happened to me. You'll hear about it this afternoon.
At lunch?
Yes, but not with me. You'll be having lunch with Miss Baker.
Do you mean you're in love with Miss Baker?
No, old sport, I'm not, but she's kindly consented to speak to you about this matter.
I don't understand. Why won't you just tell me yourself?
You see, it's a delicate matter. And I'd rather have her...
Hello, Nick.
Tom, what are you doing here?
Eat here all the time. Where the hell have you been? Daisy's furious because you haven't called up.
Oh, this is Mr. Gatsby. Mr. Gatsby, Mr. Buchanan.
Sir? So what brings you this far uptown to eat?
I'm eating lunch with Mr. Gatsby. And to Miss Baker.
You be careful with her. Stop by the apartment later. We'll have a drink. If you'll excuse me, I have friends waiting. Nice to meet you, sir.
He's married to my cousin Daisy. They live across the sound from you.
Yes. Look, I hope I haven't made you angry about this business with Miss Baker.
No, it's not that. It's just... I don't like mysteries.
No, it's nothing underhand. Why, look here, old sport. You don't make much money, do you?
Not really. Not yet.
I thought you didn't, if you'll pardon my... You see, I happen to carry on a little business on the side. A sort of sideline, you understand. And I thought that if you don't...
Hello, boys.
Miss Baker, hello.
Hello, Jordan.
Nick. Jay. Did I interrupt something?
Oh, no. No, please, sit down. Thank you, Miss Baker. Thank you both. Well, enjoy your lunch.
Is he always like this?
He knows what he wants.
Well, it's good to see you again, even under mysterious circumstances.
Not that mysterious. Not really.
What's going on?
You know Daisy and I grew up together.
She told me.
Daisy Fay, the most popular girl in Louisville. We all envied her. She dressed all in white and had a little white roadster, and all day long the telephone rang at her house.
If you behave yourselves, I'll spare each of you exactly 1 hour.
And excited young officers from Camp Taylor demanded the privilege of monopolizing her nights. Well, one day I'm walking past her house. This was 1917. And she's on the porch, dancing with a lieutenant I'd never seen before. They were so engrossed in each other that they didn't even see me. And he was looking at her in a way that all young girls want to be looked at. And because it seemed so romantic to me, I have remembered the incident ever since. His name was J. Gatsby.
Gatsby?
Lieutenant Gatsby. And I didn't lay eyes on him again for over 4 years. Even after I'd met him at one of his parties, I didn't realize it was the same man. Until the other night. Anyway, they became inseparable. Promises were made, and then he left for the war. She changed after that, became distraught, withdrawn. I don't know what happened, something to do with her family, but after the war was over, she just up and suddenly married Tom Buchanan of Chicago. He arrived with an entourage and more pomp and circumstance than Louisville ever knew before. The day before the wedding, he gave her a string of pearls, valued at $350,000. I was a bridesmaid. Half an hour before the bridal dinner, I went into her room and found her lying on her bed, as lovely as the June night in her flowered dress.
Congratulate me, Jordan.
And as drunk as a monkey.
Never had a drink before, but oh, how I do enjoy it.
She had a bottle of champagne in one hand and a letter in the other.
Here, dearest, take them downstairs and give them back to whoever they belong to. Tell them Daisy's changed her mind. Do you hear me? Say Daisy's changed her mind.
I was scared, I can tell you. I'd never seen a girl like that before.
The dearest heart of all. Do you hear me? The dearest heart of all.
I didn't know what to do. I locked the door and got her into a cold bath. She wouldn't let go of that letter. She took it in the tub with her and squeezed it up in a wet ball, and only let me leave it in the soap dish when she saw that it was coming to pieces like snow. But she didn't say another word. I gave her spirits of ammonia, put ice on her forehead. Half an hour later, we left that room. The pearls around her neck, and the incident was over.
What was in the letter?
It was from him.
Gatsby.
He was coming home from the war to marry her.
Then why did she marry Tom?
She heard the name Gatsby for the first time in years, the day you first visited. Do you remember?
What a coincidence he's here.
But it isn't coincidence at all. Don't you see? Gatsby bought that house to be near Daisy, to be just across the bay from her.
Really?
He wants to know if you'll invite her to your house someday, and then let him come over.
You mean he's waited 5 years, even bought a mansion, so he could come over some afternoon to a stranger's cottage to have a liaison?
All this time, he's half expected her to wander into one of his parties some night, but she never has. That's why he gives them. He wants her to see his house, to see what he's created for her. And your house is right next door.
Incredible.
Will you do it?
Does Daisy want to see him?
She's not to know about it. Gatsby doesn't want her to know. You're just supposed to invite her to tea. Alone, of course.
I'm not sure I'm comfortable with this.
Daisy ought to have something in her life, don't you think?
And what about you? What if I invited you to tea? Would you come?
Ask me.
Have you got everything you need in the shape of tea?
All set.
Are you sure you're all right with this? I wouldn't want to do anything out of the way.
It's fine. Fine. Would you like something while you wait?
No. No. It's raining.
I noticed.
I'm going home.
What?
Nobody's coming to tea. It's too late. I can't wait all day.
Don't be silly. It's just 2 minutes to 4.
You don't understand, old sport. I need to make sure this goes perfectly.
See?
Is this absolutely where you live, my dearest one? It's adorable, absolutely adorable. Are you in love with me? Is that why I had to come alone? Jay.
Oh, Daisy.
I'm glad to see you again.
We've met before.
We haven't met for many years.
5 years, next November.
Jordan says you've been naughty with her, Nick.
Have I?
See? I'm the perfect matchmaker. Though I'm very angry with her. She left my car out in the rain with the top down, and it's ruined. Absolutely ruined. And at first she lied about it. So you be careful with her, Nick. She's incurably dishonest.
Well, if you'll excuse me.
Where are you going?
I thought I'd get some tea and cake.
I'll help you. Oh, God.
What's the matter?
This is a mistake, a terrible, terrible mistake.
You're just embarrassed, that's all. Daisy's embarrassed too.
He is.
Just as much as you are.
Does the suit look all right?
It's very nice.
But what'll I do? What'll I say?
You're acting like a little boy. And not only that, but you're rude. Daisy's sitting in there all alone. Go on.
thought if we were ever to meet again, it'd be when we were old and decrepit.
Would you like to sit?
Yes. Did you know I'd be here?
I arranged it. Here.
Are these all me?
They're newspaper clippings from the last 5 years.
My debut in Chicago? Oh, look at that silly hat.
He's a good polo player.
Yes, Tom has a knack for winning. Jay, I tried to wait, I really did, but...
Look at this.
How handsome you are in your uniform. You never married?
No.
I'm so sorry for all the hurt I've caused you when we could have been so happy. I've missed you so much. I've never missed you so much as I do now.
Hello, old sport.
It stopped raining.
Has it? What do you think of that, Daisy?
I'm glad, Jay.
I want you and Daisy to come over to my house. I'd like to show her around.
Are you sure you'd like me to come?
Absolutely, old sport. This way. My house looks well, doesn't it?
That huge place there?
See how the whole front of it catches the light?
Oh, Jay, it's splendid.
It is splendid.
It took me 3 years to earn the money that bought it.
I thought you inherited your money.
I did, old sport. Do you like it?
Jay, I love it. But I don't see how you could live there all alone.
Oh, I keep it full of interesting people, night and day. People who do interesting things, celebrated people. There are music rooms and sunken baths, marble swimming pools, bedrooms in period style, and jonquils.
It's my favorite.
Hundreds, thousands of jonquils everywhere.
Oh, Jay.
I've even got a man in England who buys me shirts. He sends over a selection of things at the beginning of each season, spring and fall.
Oh, they're such beautiful shirts. It makes me sad because I've never seen such beautiful shirts before. If only it were possible to reverse time. Erase it. Just erase and begin again. Do you think that's possible, Jay? Just to erase time as if it had never happened? You said you'd come back from no matter where you were, and here you are, gleaming like silver. And I said I'd be waiting. My hair was damp that night. Yes, and you so handsome in your Brooks Brothers uniform, smelling like new goods. The garden smelling of wisteria and pine forest. And you told me you loved me, and I thought you were the sweetest person in the whole world. The music everywhere, filling the garden fragrant with our future. We were golden happy, weren't we, Jay? Golden happy. And you trusted me with the dearest heart of all, and it's more than anyone in the whole world has ever had. excite me so. I've never met so many celebrities. If you want to kiss me at any time during the evening, just let me know. I'll be glad to arrange it for you. Just mention my name, or present a green card. I'm giving out green tonight.
Are you having a good time?
Well, we're here in your garden, Jay. Your beautiful gardening. It doesn't seem possible, does it? Oh, I can't believe it's possible. Will you have somebody look it up in the encyclopedia and see if it's really true? Look it up under G. G for Gatsby. Where have you been?
Talking with those people over there.
Well, she's common. But if you want to take down any more addresses, here's my little gold pencil.
Who is this Gatsby, anyhow?
Well, they say he owns some drugstores, a lot of drugstores.
Yeah, right.
He built them up himself.
Probably some big bootlegger.
Be quiet. No reason for talking like that.
Well, he certainly must have strained himself to get this menagerie together.
But at least they accomplish things. They're more interesting than people we see.
What's come over you? They're all vulgar, Broadway riffraff. I'm surprised I let you talk me into coming. Come on, let's go.
You do something to me, something that simply mystifies me. Tell me, what should it be? You have the power to hypnotize.
You're embarrassing us.
Let go of me.
Look, I don't know who the hell you are or what's going on, but you can be sure as hell I'm gonna find out! I'm getting the car.
Jay,
If it wasn't for the mist, we could see your house across the bay. You always have a green light that burns all night at the end of your dark.
Well, it burns for you, Jay. It's always burned for you.
Just a minute, Meyer. Do you mean it? Do you really love me?
Yes.
Then that's all that matters. I'll take care of everything. Now wait right here. I'll be right back.
I'm gonna leave Tom.
About time.
Are you sure?
In fact, I'd rather just go and not tell Tom anything. Do you think I'm making a mistake?
Daisy! Daisy!
I wouldn't ask too much of her so soon. You can't repeat the past.
Can't repeat the past. Why, of course you can, old sport. And this time, I'm going to fix everything, just the way it should have been.
5 years he'd waited for her. There must have been moments when Daisy tumbled short of his dreams. Not through her own fault, but because of the colossal vitality of his illusion. It had gone beyond her, beyond everything. How could one mortal possibly live up to it? The king's daughter, the golden girl. Illusion. But no amount of fire or freshness can challenge what a man will store up in his ghostly heart.
Nick, hurry up. Daisy's expecting us for lunch. Gatsby's coming too.
Is he all right? I went over to his house earlier and this character right out of a cops and robbers picture opens the door and says, "What do you want?" "Is Mr. Gatsby sick?" I said. "Nope," he said and slams the door in my face.
He's fired all the servants.
What? Why?
So there won't be any gossip. Those are Wolfsheim's relatives up there taking care of the place. Daisy sees him almost every day in the afternoons.
That isn't very discreet.
So?
Well, she ought to be more careful is all.
You really are moral, aren't you?
No, it's not that. It's just... What if Tom finds out?
Daisy drove over there yesterday with her suitcases packed, ready to run off, but he wouldn't go.
In other words, now he wants her and now he doesn't got her?
Of course he wants her. They love each other, but it has to be done right. Gatsby's looking for some sort of atonement, a renunciation of the years lost.
But how can Daisy do that?
He wants her to tell Tom she never loved him.
Let's go get in the car. I'll drive.
I will drive.
You nearly killed that workman the other night. You're not going to drive.
What workman?
The one you hit with your fender. You either ought to be more careful or you oughtn't to drive at all.
I am careful.
No, you're not.
Well, then other people are.
What's that got to do with it?
They'll keep out of my way. It takes two to make an accident.
And suppose you met somebody as careless as yourself.
I hope I never will. I hate careless people. That's why I like you. It's certainly hot.
Where's Mr. Thomas Cannon, the athlete?
Well, rumor has it he's on the telephone to his girl.
I mean, I say, it must be the hottest summer we've had in, 5 years?
I don't know. Could really use something to drink, that's for sure. If only Tom was here.
Really should get a drink.
I know. I have no control over that man, I tell you.
You really need to leave him.
No, that's what I'm planning to tell him today.
Are you sure?
I mean, I have to be right. I don't know.
Hello, Gatsby.
Afternoon.
Gatsby. I'm glad to see you again, sir. Nick. Jordan.
Make us something cool to drink. Please. You know I love you.
You forget. There's a lady present.
Well, then you kiss Nick too.
What a low, vulgar girl.
I don't care. I don't care anymore. Kiss him. I want to see you kiss him.
When are you going to tell him?
Soon, I promise. Oh, darling, don't look so sad. There's nothing that I want in the whole world but you and your precious love. Come here quick. I want to get one of those pink clouds and put you in and push you around. Oh, thank heaven, something cool to drink. Well, what do we do with ourselves this afternoon? And the day after that? In the next 30 years?
Don't be morbid. Life starts all over again when it gets crisp in the fall.
But it's so hot and everything's so confused. Why don't we go to town? Let's all go to town. Oh, you look so cool. Always so cool. You resemble the advertisement of the man. You know, the advertisement of the man with the shirts.
All right, let's go to town. Come on, what's the matter anyhow? If we're going to town, let's start.
Well, are we just gonna go? Like this?
You wanted to go.
Fine. It's too hot to fuss. Have it your way. Come on, Jordan.
I don't see the idea of going to town. Women just gets these notions in their head.
Shall we take anything to drink?
I'll get some whiskey.
I can't say anything in this household, sport.
Voice. It's very indiscreet. I don't know what it is. It's like it's full of.
It's full of money.
Yes. That's it. It's full of money.
Okay, we'll go to the plaza.
5 bathrooms and take cold baths and drink mint juleps.
Shall we go in my car?
I would have expected a chauffeur.
I prefer to do my own driving.
Oh, the gear standard?
Yes.
Well, then how's about you let me take your car to town and you take my coupe?
It takes some getting used to,
I'm sure I can manage.
and you may need to get some gasoline.
If I do, I'll stop at a drugstore. You can buy anything at a drugstore nowadays. Come on, Daisy, I'll take you in Mr. Gatsby's circus wagon.
You take Nick and Jordan. We'll follow you in the coupe.
Did you see that?
See what?
You must think I'm pretty dumb, don't you? Well, perhaps I am, but I have almost a second sight sometimes that tells me what to do. I've made an investigation into this fellow.
And you found he was an Oxford man.
Oxford man? He wears a pink suit.
He did go to Oxford.
Oxford, New Mexico, maybe. I'm stopping for gas. Let's have some gas. Wilson, what'd you think we stopped for? To admire the view?
I'm sick. Been sick all day.
What's the matter?
I'm all run down.
Well, do I have to do it myself?
Look, I need money pretty bad, Mr. Buchanan. I was wondering what you were going to do with your old car.
Well, what do you think of this one?
It's a nice yellow one.
Pretty fancy, eh? Ever seen anything this fancy in your life?
No, sir, Mr. Buchanan.
Would you like to buy it?
Big chance, but no. I could make some money off the other one, though.
What's it with you and money all of a sudden?
We've been here too long. Gotta get away. Myrtle and I want to go west.
She does?
She's been talking about it for 10 years, and now she's going whether she wants to or not.
Why is that woman staring at me?
What do I owe you?
Look, I just got wise up to something funny the last few days. Yeah, wised up real good. That's why we gotta get away. That's why I've been bothering you about that car.
What do I owe you?
I really need that car, Mr. Buchanan.
What do I owe you?
$1.20.
Keep the change.
Look, I don't mean to keep bothering you about that car, but...
I'll let you have that car.
You will?
Yeah. I'll send it by tomorrow.
All right.
It's a swell suite.
Open another window.
There aren't anymore.
Well, then we'd better telephone for an axe.
Forget about the heat. Jesus, you make it 10 times worse crabbing about it, for Christ's sake.
Why not let her alone, old sport? You're the one that wanted to come to town.
That's a great expression of yours, isn't it?
What is?
All this old sport stuff? Where'd you happen to pick that up?
Now listen here, Tom. If you're going to make personal remarks, I won't stay here another minute. Make us some mint juleps.
By the way, Mr. Gatsby, I understand you're an Oxford man.
Not exactly.
Oh, yes, I understand you went there.
Yes, I did go to Oxford.
And when was this?
I told you, I went there.
And I heard you, but I'd like to know when.
It was in 1919. I only stayed 5 months. That's why I really can't call myself an Oxford man.
Yeah, right.
It was an opportunity they gave to some of the officers after the armistice. We could go to any of the universities in England or France. I chose Oxford.
Open the whiskey, Tom, and I'll make you a mint julep. Then maybe you won't seem so stupid to yourself. Oh, look at the mint.
I want to ask Mr. Gatsby one more question.
Go on.
What kind of a row are you trying to cause in my house?
He isn't causing a row. You're causing a row. Please have a little self-control.
Self-control? I suppose the latest thing to do is sit back and let Mr. Nobody from nowhere make love to your wife. If that's the idea, you can count me out. Nowadays, people begin by sneering at family life and family institutions. Next thing you know, they'll throw everything overboard and have intermarriage between blacks and whites.
Good God, Tom.
We're all white here.
I know I'm not very popular. I don't throw big parties and invite every riffraff from Broadway and the picture shows. I suppose you have to make your house into a pigsty in order to have any
We can
friends.
talk about my house later when there are no ladies present. What I want to tell you, old sport.
Please, please don't. Let's go home. Why don't we all just go home?
That's a good idea. Come on, Tom. Nobody wants a drink.
I want to know what Mr. Gatsby has to tell me.
Your wife doesn't love you, all right? She's never loved you. She loves me.
You're crazy.
She never loved you, do you hear? She only married you because she was tired of waiting for me. It was a terrible mistake, but in her heart, she's never loved anyone but me.
Oh, why don't we all...
You're not going anywhere.
Yes, we are, Tom. Come on, Daisy.
It's time somebody finally told you exactly.
Are you going to lecture me on character, Jordan? That's a laugh. Hey, Nick, has your little girlfriend here told you about that tournament in
Tom!
She cheated to win that tournament. The great golf champion. Now, what is it you wanted to say to me, Jordan?
Let's go, Daisy.
Sit down, Daisy.
Look here, Tom.
Stop yelling at her.
I want to know what's been going
I
on.
told you what's been going on for 5 years. And you didn't know.
You've been seeing this fellow for 5 years?
Not seeing, no. We couldn't meet. But both of us loved each other all that time, old sport. And you didn't know.
You're crazy. I can't even speak about what happened 5 years ago because I didn't know Daisy then. And I'll be damned if I see how you got within a mile of her, unless you brought the groceries to the back door. But all the rest of that's a goddamn lie. Daisy loved me when she married me. She loves me now.
No.
She does, though. The problem is sometimes she gets these foolish ideas in her head, and she doesn't know what she's doing. And what's more, I love Daisy too. Sure, every now and then I go off on a spree and make a fool of myself. But I always come back, don't I, Daisy? In my heart, I love you all the time.
You're revolting. Do you know why we left Chicago? I'm surprised he didn't treat you to the story of his little spree of his in Santa Barbara, in the Riviera.
Daisy, that's all over now. It doesn't matter anymore. Just tell him the truth. That you never loved him, and it'll all be wiped out forever.
Why? How could I love him? Possibly.
You never loved him.
I never loved him.
Not in DeVille?
No.
Not the day I carried you down from the punch bowl to keep your shoes dry? Daisy.
Please don't. Oh, there, Jay, you want too much. I love you now, isn't that enough? I can't help what's past. I loved him once, but I loved you too.
You loved me too.
Even that's a lie. She didn't even know you were alive. Why, there are things between me and Daisy that she'll never know. Things that neither of us can ever forget.
I want to speak to Daisy alone. She's all excited now.
Even alone, I can't say I never loved Tom. It wouldn't be true.
Of course it wouldn't.
As if it mattered to you.
Of course it matters. I'm going to take better care of you from now on.
You don't understand. You're not going to take care of her ever again.
I'm not, and why's that?
Daisy's leaving you.
Nonsense!
I am, though.
She's not leaving me! Certainly not for a common swindler to have to steal the ring you put on her finger.
Oh, please don't. Let's get out of here. It's so hot. It's so hot.
I'll take care of you.
Who are you, anyhow? You're one of that bunch that hangs out around Meyer Wolf time. That much I happen to know.
Let's go, Daisy.
I've made a little investigation into your affairs, Mr. Gatsby.
You can suit yourself about that, old sport.
I found out what your drugstores were.
What about them?
He and this Wolf time bought up a lot of side street drugstores here and in Chicago. Sold grain alcohol over the counter. I picked you for a bootlegger the first time I saw you. I wasn't far wrong.
It's prohibition. Nobody cares. Where do you get your boost from, old sport?
Stop calling me old sport! This drugstore business is just small change! You've got something on now that everyone's afraid of telling me about. Something really big. Something to do with Wolf time. But I'll find out about it. Oh yeah, I'll find out about it, old sport. You bet your ass about that!
Please, I can't stand this anymore!
Are you going to kill me, old sport? My car keys, please. Now, if you'll excuse me.
Want any of this stuff? Jordan? Nick? Nick!
What?
Want any?
No.
What the hell's the matter with you?
I just realized that today's my birthday. I'm 30. I'm 30 years old. I was 30. And before me stretched the menacing road of a new decade. It was 7 o'clock when we finally got into the coupe and started to Long Island. Tom talked incessantly, exulting and laughing as if he had just won a football match. Human sympathy has its limits. And beside me, her head on my shoulder, Jordan nestled close. But I didn't know her anymore. 30. The promise of a decade of loneliness. A thinning list of single men to know, a thinning briefcase of enthusiasm. Thinning hair. So we drove on. Toward death. Through the cooling twilight.
Fool me. You can fool me, you can't fool God.
What are you doing, George?
His wife's man. That's what they say. Think I don't hear that? His wife's man. No more, Myrtle. No more.
What do you do with my clothes, George?
We're leaving day after tomorrow. Soon as I sell that car.
You're crazy.
Found this yesterday, hidden in the bureau.
You've got no rights.
Think I'm stupid, Myrtle?
No, it's for my sister. It's for her dog.
Think I'm stupid because all I own is a grudge?
No, George, I don't think that.
I ain't stupid, Myrtle. I got things figured out.
I never said.
Coming back with your face all busted up?
It ain't right what you do.
Something's not right here. That's for sure.
You've got no right to give me back my clothes. I hate you. I hated every second with you. What are you gonna do, huh? You gonna beat me? You gonna beat me, George?
I'm sorry, Myrtle.
Shut up! I can't stand your voice. It's like a slug crawling in the dirt. I should have left you a long time ago.
Please don't leave me, Myrtle. I'm getting the money, just like I promised. Just wait a little bit, I'll get the money. We can go.
He's come back. Oh, he's come back. Wait!
Myrtle?
Wait!
Myrtle!
M
Yes.
I
Yes.
C A
No, H. H-A.
What's
H,
going on here?
A
E.
E.
Listen to me!
What do you want, fella?
What's going on? That's what I'd like to know.
Auto hitter. Instantly killed.
What?
Instantly killed?
She ran out on the road. Son of a bitch didn't even stop his car.
Well, there were 2 cars, actually. One coming and one going.
Going where?
Which direction?
Hold on a minute here.
Well, there was one going each way. She ran out there, waving her arms like crazy and screaming at him, beat me, throw me down and beat me, but I'm going. And she ran out there, and the one coming from New York knocked right into her. Must have been going 30 or 40 miles an hour.
And what's your relation to them?
I owned the diner up the road. It was a yellow car. A big yellow car. New.
You don't have to tell me what kind of car it was. I know what kind of car it was.
You got to pull yourself together. Listen, I just got here a minute ago from New York. Are you listening to me? Wilson, listen. I was bringing you that coupe we were talking about, remember? The yellow car you saw me driving this afternoon wasn't mine. Do you hear? It wasn't mine. I borrowed it. It belongs to someone else.
What's going on over here, fellas?
I'm a friend of his. He says he knows the car that did it. It was a yellow car.
And what color is your car?
Blue car. Coupe.
He's telling the truth. We've just come from New York. We were on our way to West Second. We saw
All
something
right.
happen.
Clear the area. Now, miss, if I could have that name again. Correctly this time.
M. I.
Goddamn coward. Never even stopped his car.
Daisy? Daisy, wait!
Let go of me, I gotta get inside.
It's all right. Everything's going to be all right.
Ruined, don't you see?
Everything's going to be fine. I promise.
Everything's so confused.
Oh, it's all my fault. Look at me. None of this would have happened if I'd handled things right the first time, but now I'm fixing everything.
I just wanted it to be beautiful.
Do you believe that I love you? Daisy, look at me. Do you believe that I love you?
Yes.
What was said at the hotel doesn't mean anything. Tom was pressuring you, making you say things you didn't mean, upsetting you.
I'm no good for you.
You are the finest, loveliest, tenderest, most beautiful person I've ever known.
But what
Nothing's going to happen. I'm going to take care of everything. I want you to go inside. I'm going to wait out here just to make sure he doesn't try anything. If he does, I want you to turn the light off and on.
He won't hurt me.
I don't trust him. I'm going to wait out here, just in case.
How long will you wait?
All night if necessary. My whole life if you want me to.
You really love me that much?
Yes.
But what do I say? You know how I am. I can't hide things, so I'll ruin everything.
He knows you're upset. It's okay to be upset. But don't let him talk you into anything. Don't say anything. Just give me time to set things up. And we'll go away like we planned.
Yes. Yes, that's all I want. It's all I've ever wanted.
As soon as I know you're safe here tonight, I'll wait for your call at home. Our love is all that matters. We'll go back to Louisville and get married and start over and have the life we were meant to have. Oh, you asked me if I could erase time. The answer is yes. I'm erasing it. Right now, here. The past is erased forever. And now, it's only you and me.
Oh my God, he's home. Jay?
I'll be right here, outside the window. Nothing's going to happen to you, I promise. Nobody's ever going to hurt you again. Call me tomorrow. I'll wait for your call.
I ought to have dropped you in West Egg, Nick. There's really nothing we can do tonight. I'll telephone for a taxi, and while you're waiting, you and Jordan had better go in and have them make you some supper. If you want any, come in.
No thanks. But I'd be glad if you ordered me a taxi. I'll wait outside.
Daisy's home. Stop by tomorrow, Nick.
Are you sure you won't come in, Nick?
No thanks.
It's only 9:30. May as well make the most of it.
Is it true?
What?
What Tom said, the scandal about your tournament.
What's that got to do with anything?
They say you moved your ball from a bad lie. That's how you won.
People say all sorts of things when you're famous.
I read about it. The caddy retracted his statement. Did you buy him off?
Nick, you're one of the few honest people that I know. Come on in.
Goodbye, Jordan.
Goodbye? Just like that? You're throwing me over.
I need to go home.
You're throwing me over for a rumor.
Just need some time to think.
Fine. Be a coward. Run away. I don't give a damn about you anyway, but hey, at least it was a new kind of experience for me. Do you remember a conversation we had earlier about driving a car?
What about it?
You said a bad driver was only safe until she met another bad driver. Well, I guess I met another bad driver, didn't I? I mean, it was careless of me to make such a wrong guess. I thought you were different, Nick. I thought you were rather an honest, straightforward person. I thought it was your secret pride.
I'm 30, Jordan. 30. I'm 5 years too old to lie to myself and to call it honor.
Goodbye, Nick.
Hello, Nick.
Jesus, what are you doing here?
Just standing here, old sport. Did you see any trouble on the road?
Yes?
What, she killed?
Yes.
I thought so. I told Daisy I thought so. It's better that the shock should come all at once. She stood it pretty well. I got to West Egg by side road and left the car in my garage. I don't think anybody saw us, but of course I can't be sure. Who was the woman?
Her name was Wilson. Her husband owned the garage. What the hell happened?
Well, I grabbed the wheel from Daisy and tried to swing it
Daisy?
away.
Daisy was driving.
Yes, but of course I'll say I was.
just assumed
You
that
see, when we left New York, she was very nervous and thought it would steady her to drive. And this woman rushed out at us just as we were passing a car coming the other direction. It all happened in a minute, but it seemed to me that she wanted to speak to us, thought we were somebody she knew. Well, first Daisy turned away from the woman toward the other car, and then lost her nerve and turned back. The second my hand reached the wheel, I felt the shock. It must have killed her instantly.
It ripped her open, for Christ's sake.
I don't want to know.
Well, why didn't you call somebody and get some help?
Daisy stepped on it. I tried to make her stop, but I couldn't. So I pulled on the emergency brake, and she fell over in my lap and asked to be taken home.
You've got to go to the police.
I can't do that.
Tell them it was an accident.
I'm going to fix everything.
But everyone saw your car. There were eyewitnesses. They'll trace it to you. And you can't hide a car like that. And then they'll find out Daisy was driving.
I'm not going to let that happen, and neither are you. She'll be all right tomorrow. I'm going to wait out here, just in case he tries to bother her.
That's my taxi. You'd better come home with me.
I want to wait here until Daisy goes to bed.
Gatsby.
Good night, old sport.
Don't understand you people.
George, you should have a cup of coffee. Come on, it'll do you good.
I have a way of finding out about that car. Yellow one. Who drives it? A couple of months ago, she came back from the city. Her face busted up, her nose bruised. Oh my God, he killed her.
Who did?
I have a way of finding out.
This has been a strain on you.
He murdered her!
It was an accident, George.
I'm one of those trusting fellas who don't think any harm on no one. But when I get to know a thing or two, I know it. It was the man in that car. She ran out to speak to him and he wouldn't stop.
How could she have been like that?
She's a deep one.
You know, maybe you've got some friend I can call.
I spoke to her. I told her she might be able to fool me, but she couldn't fool God. I took her to the window and said, God knows what you've been doing, everything you've been doing. You can fool me, but you can't fool God. God sees everything.
I waited. About 4 o'clock, she came to the window and turned out the light.
You've got to get away. Atlantic City for a week or up to Montreal.
I can't do that. I couldn't possibly leave Daisy.
Why won't you listen to me?
I owe you an apology, Nick.
I don't care about that.
I owe you an apology for some of the lies. James Gatz. That's really, or at least legally, my name. We're cousins, Nick. You and me. 2 boys out of the Midwest who've come east to make their fortunes. My parents were farm people up in North Dakota. Good people, honest, but poor. So I invented the sort of J. Gatsby that a 17-year-old boy would be likely to invent, and ran away to make my fortune. And then I met Daisy. Of course, I expected her to throw me over. After all, what did I have to offer? Some poor farm boy. But she didn't. Because she was in love with me. Is in love with me. And now I have her again. And this time, it's going to be the way it should have been.
Thank you.
For what?
12 minutes to my train. I've already missed 3. I really don't want to go to work today. I'll call you up.
You want to know something funny? I haven't used the pool all summer.
I really wish you'd leave town for a few days.
I know. You've been a good friend, Nick, and I appreciate it.
I'll call around noon.
Daisy will call soon, don't you think?
I suppose.
After all, we've made promises to each other.
Yes.
Well, goodbye. Goodbye, old sport.
A rotten crowd, Gatsby! You're worth the whole damn bunch put together. I remember the rest of that day, and that night and the next day only as an endless drill of police reports, of photographers, and of newspaper men. Most of the reports about Gatsby were a nightmare. Grotesque, circumstantial, eager, and untrue. I found myself on Gatsby's side, and alone. No one else cared. No one. Where were the party people now? I called up Daisy to see how she was taking it, but she and Tom had left that afternoon, leaving no return address. I wanted to get somebody for him. I wanted Gatsby to know that somebody cared. So I went into the room where he lay to reassure him. I'll get somebody for you, Gatsby. Don't you worry, just trust me, and I'll get somebody for you.
I can't do it. I can't get mixed up in it.
But you were his closest friend.
I raised him up out of nothing, right out of the gutter.
His funeral's this afternoon.
I'd like to come.
Then come.
I can't. When a man gets killed, I never like to get mixed up in it in any way. I keep out.
He'd want you there.
Mr. Carraway, let's learn to show our friendship for a man when he's alive and not after he's dead.
Day of the funeral. Nobody came. Daisy never even sent a message, not even a flower. One afternoon late in October, I saw Tom and Daisy walking ahead of me on Fifth Avenue. Just as I slowed to avoid overtaking them, he saw me.
Nick! Daisy, look, it's Nick. What's the matter? Object to shaking hands with me?
Yes. You know what I think of you.
You're crazy, Nick. Crazy as hell. I don't know what's the matter with you.
What did you say to Wilson?
I told him the truth. He came by one night while we were getting ready to leave. He was crazy enough to kill me if I hadn't told him who owned the car. His hand was on the revolver in his pocket the whole time. So what if I did tell him? Gatsby had it coming. He ran over Myrtle like you'd run over a lost dog. Never even stopped his car.
You were always my favorite cousin, Nick.
You're careless people! creatures and things, and then you retreat back into your vast carelessness, or your money, or whatever it is that keeps you together. And then you let other people clean up the mess you've made. I couldn't forgive any of them. After Gatsby's death, the East became haunted to me, distorted. It was time to go back home. Back west where the blue smoke of bitter leaves stirs in the air, and the laundry's blown stiff on the line. As I brooded on all this, I thought of Gatsby's wonder when he first picked out the green light at the end of Daisy's dock. He had come such a long way to this blue lawn and this huge failure of a house. And his dream must have seemed so close that he could hardly fail to grasp it. Gatsby believed in the green light, in the orgastic future that recedes before us. It eluded us then, but that's no matter. Tomorrow we will run faster, we will stretch out our arms farther. And one fine morning, though we beat on, boats against the current, borne back ceaselessly into the past.